Call Maine to order. Flags.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Action on the minutes.
Motion to accept.
Second. Is that both? Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote. Adjustments to the agenda.
I have nothing, sir.
Public comments.
She's thinking.
Yes, it was something. I don't know, it flew out somewhere. Are we gonna cut the sides of the roads this year?
Mowing?
You know, I don't know who did it. Somebody came by and finally cut it last year.
We bought a tractor with mowing machine.
Are we talking about roadside mowing?
Yeah.
Yes, they have a tractor. They're planning on getting to it.
It's that weed that grows so fast.
Goldenrod?
No, the great big things like them at the end of Aspen Avenue.
Bamboo? Bamboo.
Whatever it is,
Bamboo.
it grows a foot of down. Well, I don't, coming out of my driveway, it's just a little curve. And you cannot, they can't see me and I can't see them. But they're gonna get out there kind of call in, so I rather don't do that anymore.
Business items. 5.1 review approved adult use marijuana cultivation facility renewal for Foothill Farms LLC. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote. 5.2 review and approve liquor license renewal for Daddy-O's LLC. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Called it.
I just think.
No discussion. All those in favor? The vote. It's not listening.
He is in Augusta.
5.3 review approved mass gathering permit for Oxford Plains Speedway for 7/2/2024 to 7/3/2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Scott.
Do they really think they're only gonna have less than 5,000 people?
Well, he originally told me, he said that he would feel lucky if he got 2,000. So I had a long talk and actually convinced him to do this.
What did you say that was for? I forgot.
That's, yeah, it's a 300 lap race.
Oh.
The payout is more than the actual 250. And they've got a driver from the next Bell Cup series.
Well, I knew I heard you say that, but I couldn't remember what that was.
Yeah.
He took a lot of punches last weekend.
Oh, yes.
Didn't make any difference.
I saw that.
He,
Yes, I
So-
did too.
I have a question.
Sometime
Maybe
I-
somebody knows, maybe we don't. How do you tell how many people they have there?
I try to stay in touch with him, see if he has any advance ticket sales and all, and where he thinks they had any. Plus, he did mention that he expects to have some campers come in also, so. I think with the bigger payout and Kyle Busch coming and all that, I think he's gonna have quite a few people.
He said their ticket sales are low right now, but
So they're only allowing ticketed folks on the grounds, or wasn't that a problem in
Yeah.
past years with 250?
Yeah, well, we had been doing roadblocks, and if people come in and they're not there for the races, we turn them away.
So he should have a good count on how many tickets he sells and how many people he's got there.
Yes, he definitely should. They keep track of the campers also, in numbers, how many they have.
I think sometimes if, when we have these, it'd be good if they showed up.
I agree. I'm surprised he's not here, to be honest with you. Because he came to the last one,
Yeah.
the other mass gatherings.
Mike, not Tom, Mike.
Mike,
Yeah.
yeah. Mike's pretty much running the show down there now. Tom is around, but Mike's doing
I was
everything.
quite surprised today, it's just off the cuff, but somebody showed up there from Spectrum TV to take a picture of the speedway, I mean, of the racetrack, and they kicked them off.
Wow.
I thought it'd be good to promote something in Oxford.
Mhm.
That was kind of strange.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Vote. 5.4, accept $50 donation from Pearl Ivy to the Oxford Police Department Equipment Reserve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. All those in favor? Vote. Send our thanks. 5.5, accept a $1,200 anonymous donation to the Oxford Recreation Reserve for summer rec.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. All those in favor? Vote. Again, send our thanks. 5.6, School Administrative District 17 warrant for the budget validation referendum.
So, for the budget validation referendum piece, I've been able to get some of your signatures. I think we're missing one signature on that, so we'll circulate that. Put a copy of it in your packet. This is for the allowing the vote on the 11th, the validation vote on the 11th. I did have a couple other things about the school budget. I've been getting asked questions, so the board be interested in me just going over a few points on that. All right. So, one of the things I've been being asked is the capital reserve accounts, or account that they passed on the 14th this last month. Are you missing something?
I don't have that. Yes, I do. It's not the regular.
Sorry. So, the what was passed on the back on the 14th was the school operating budget. They had a warrant, and there was all the cost centers for the operations of the school budget, and then they had an additional warrant article on there for a $2 million capital reserve account. So when you look at what was passed, everything was passed at that 14th meeting. And in talking to the school department, I've been asking some questions about how is what's this capital going to be used for? Just some simple things like that. And are they prepared? What if this doesn't pass on the 11th? Which brought up the conversation of if it doesn't pass on the 11th, the school budget will have to go back to the drawing board, but the capital items still remain in effect because the school department feels as though they have the authority to pass this capital separate from the school budget. So I don't necessarily know that from my perspective that I agree with that analysis. I've reached out to the town attorney, and the town attorney and I are on the same page that any funding, raising and appropriating that occurs at the budget vote then needs to be validated then again at the validation vote on the 11th. So I think that there's some confusion there. And when you look at the amount of money that was passed on the 14th of that vote, they indicate it was $51 million, I'm rounding, $51 million total, which does not include that $2 million extra for capital. So when you look at when these warrants are posted for the vote on the 11th, it does not include the $2 million, it only includes the $51 million. So that just brings me to the question of, the not legitimacy, but the legality of what people are voting on the 11th. So I just have a question there. I have reached out to the school department, asked for clarification, and as soon as I get that, I'll share that with the board members. In talking to the town attorney about it, obviously, the board and the individuals are going to have to make their decisions on what they're going to do as far as moving forward and how they're going to vote on the budget. I will say that with the addition of this capital, the town's allotment, if you assessment, is $970,000. $970,000 is about the equivalent of $1.33 million for us. So I just wanted to put those things out there. If you have questions or thoughts that you want me to look into specifically, I'll be glad to do that.
So they're saying that they can add $2 million to that with not telling you what you're gonna spend it on, other than going in this fund.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to ask anybody about it? Is that, Does that make any sense to you, Ken?
It doesn't make any sense to me. I talked to Adam about that, and it's separate from the school budget. So they did a school budget, gave us the total for that school budget, and then they have this separate referendum for $2 million. So what are we trying to hide here?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
So, I mean,
And it should be part of the vote that all the towns vote on.
I would think. I don't know how you can, I mean, if we just like us saying that we want $2 million, not give you any reason and say we got the power to do it, right?
Right, without going to the legislative body.
I mean, I did notice the paper that the parish board has come out and recommended to their people to turn it down. I don't think it'd be a bad idea for Oxford.
One thing I look at is, this time around, for our senior citizens, we're not gonna have that tax rate this year.
No,
So this on top of the county plus our own, I'd hate to think what our tax bills are gonna look like. Especially when retired and it's on the same income.
I don't understand why they would not have included it in the school budget to have everything right out in the open, because the way they've done it, it's like, let's just say that, I would say that they can do this because they've done it and they must know that they can do it. So they did it, and it's a way to hide something and to say to the public, we can ask for $2 million and we don't need your permission.
Maybe we should do it.
Well, maybe they can put it towards the other if we voted down.
So if I may, on that note, so two things on that. One, as far as I'm concerned, when I read the state statutes on this, if the school budget fails to pass on the 11th, all budgetary items go back to the drawing board. And as far as I'm concerned, my interpretation is that means this capital request as well. So the thought that this capital request can survive somehow, I would challenge if we were to get an assessment for that, even if the budget fails. The other thing, just for reference for the board, what just came around is under state law 20A, which is school departments and MSADs and such, this talks about establishing reserve funds. It talks about how to establish those reserve funds and how to budget for them. It specifically references 1485, which is, if you flip in 2 pages, 1485 is the cost center summary budget format, which is telling you that reserve funds must fall into the cost center summary budget format. It can't just be a separate item. And the budget then has to be passed, and then I've included the law that speaks to the validation referendum and how that works. And also, lastly, I've included what happens if it fails. So when I read those things, I see that it needs to be included in the cost center, their budget structure, it needs to be voted on and then validated before it can move forward. So just some food for thought, that's all.
And, you know, the other thing is, I think we ought to let the taxpayers know that this is gonna amount to $1.33 million on your tax bill.
Adam, do you know how that article that they voted on was written?
Yep, if you give me 1 second, I've actually got it with me over here. In my pile of,
It's its own article number, and it's to go towards, they had this big plan of when the architects came through, or engineers, or whoever they were, and said, this school needs this amount of money, this school needs this amount of money, this school, and it all totaled up, just the elementary schools, for $22 million. And their grand plan is to go after $2 million a year for the next 20 years, or
Right.
next 10 years.
And I think that's
On
what she
top
said.
of whatever the school budget is.
Yeah,
But with no say on what that.
But I mean, that doesn't sound like much of a plan to me, because if you got a project that takes 2.2, we're gonna go 2 million into it and then get the next on the next year, or what?
Wasn't my
I mean, who
plan.
was thinking this up?
I don't know who came up with it.
but again, we have reserve accounts. That's part of our budget. It's part of what the voters vote on. So how is this different? That's why I'm
I
wondering.
argued it at that meeting. I voted against it. but they were far outnumbered by teachers and employees in the school district.
So they, I'm sorry.
There's 90 people there, give or take, and 50 to 60 of them are school employees, district employees.
So to answer your question, so on that warrant, Article 19, to see what sum the district will raise and appropriate to transfer to the existing capital reserve fund. School board recommends $2 million. And then that's followed up with Article 20. Shall the school board be authorized to expend from the capital reserve fund as needed in the discretion of the school board?
Transfer from where though? In that first article, it says to transfer, right?
To transfer existing capital to the existing, I don't know where they're transferring
So they're
from,
saying they've already got that 2 million?
but it also says raise and appropriate. So raise means they're raising it and they're appropriating it to that. So I don't know where they're transferring it from, but they're raising and appropriating, which means they're levying taxes. They're making assessments.
Transferring it all to one thing.
So, I'm not trying to pick on the school here. I just
Sounds like they ought to be picked up.
I think that the school district needs to provide us with the legal clarification on that $2 million and why the voters in this school district are not voting on that $2 million.
I asked the superintendent for that today, only a few hours ago though.
And she said she'd get it to you?
Yep.
Has this been posted yet?
Which
Warrant.
the one? Yeah, that'll be. It's going to be posted tomorrow. Yeah.
Are we going at the fire station?
I caught that. It's been corrected.
Okay.
To Plot Road. Yeah.
Is that the school?
Yeah. It originally said fire
Fire
station, but yeah, we caught that and fixed that. So, or had them fix that. Good catch though.
I know we gotta vote on the warrant.
Right, yeah, so I'd ask that you guys, decide on the warrant. I mean, I think it makes obviously sense to post the warrant, so.
But can we say that, tell the taxpayers of the town of Oxford we're not in favor?
I mean, I think that's up to the board, of course.
And as far as I'm concerned. Are you making that a motion, Mr. Jackson? I could second that.
Okay? That's a motion. And I'd like to see that the board, let the taxpayers of the town of Oxford know that we're not in favor of this budget.
Second.
Discussion, what format would you like to try to notify voters?
When our little friend calls him tomorrow to get the info, you can put it in the paper.
Can I ask that to put in the paper?
Well, she never shows up, but I've always seen the paper, she's here.
Well, she wasn't, she told us last week she wouldn't be here
Oh,
this
she's on
week.
vacation or something.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay. I didn't-
So, but yes.
Probably he could drop the hint up there. I bet you can get through to him.
So you get to it long before that.
So would you like me to do kind of like a press release?
Yep.
Yeah.
It sounds good.
Include that. If we could put something on the town's website, Facebook page on what that amount is going to do to somebody's taxes if they have a $150,000 home or a $250,000 home. What that piece alone is going to do to their tax bill.
Especially people that had the break last year. They're not gonna have it this year.
Easy enough. All right.
Any
So
other
do we vote on
discussion?
that, or we just?
Any other discussion? All in favor? Vote.
Now we need
Can I have some clarification?
a motion.
Yep.
Okay, so the vote
think we gave was that the board was not in favor of it, but
No.
it wasn't to sign, I didn't care to sign the warrant, was that included?
That's what I was just getting ready to make a motion, so. Make a motion now, we sign the, Set 17's warrant budget validation.
Second.
Motion and second discussion. All those in favor? So moved.
Thank you.
Five point seven, review sign Oxford County Assessor's Return, $657,849.
Which is the difference of what from last year? Do you have that number?
I do.
It's a lot.
That's a difference of about 165,000.
It's a lot, but it's a little fraction compared to the school budget.
Yeah. All adds up in the end.
And I believe the size of the increase was due to not utilizing casino funds to offset. They were using that for other projects. This year, they've offset the last 3 years.
So is the county, they did it?
We're paying for Dana's raise. We're paying for Dana's raise.
I knew there was a catcher.
I'll make a motion to sign the county's.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? So,
Can we add that into the school?
review and approve the amended town meeting warrant.
Second.
Discussion?
So on the town meeting warrant that you guys signed the other day, I had omitted in the debt service, the new front-end loader lease payment. That has been added to the amended warrant and is awaiting your signatures. It'll be posted tomorrow, which is within the timeframes to be valid for town meeting. My apologies for my omission.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Vote. What happened again?
Of course.
Department head report, Chief Wax, or do you like to be
Doesn't
Wax
matter.
Armstrong, Wax
Whatever
Armstrong?
one, take your pick.
Either one,
It's
Chief?
fine.
Okay.
It's fine. So just to give you the year's call volume versus last year, so in 2023 at this point, we'd run 327 EMS calls and 125 fire calls for a total of 452 calls. So far this year, we're down on EMS calls, we're at 283. We're increased on fire calls, we're at 181 for a total of 464, so we're up 12 calls altogether. And that includes right up till today. I'm looking forward to my first town meeting, and I'm hoping that, everyone votes for everything goes well and that we'll get our $300,000 to hopefully potentially look for a new piece of fire apparatus. Recently in the community, we've taken part in the Oxford Elementary School fire drill. Before I arrived, Deputy Corwell had reached out to them to ask to go to the school when they have the fire drills, which is good, just so they see us, we can kind of see what their game plan is, and we can see where if they have someone handicapped on the second floor, where they stage them for us. So that was good. We just went to the May Day Play Day at Oxford Hills High School. In the parking lot, they had a ton of businesses and touch a truck event there. We were part of Chief Buffington's funeral procession. So we had the tower truck extended with Mechanic Falls ladder truck over Route 26 for his procession. Myself and Engine 2 went, we did the whole procession, went to the graveside ceremony, and then followed at South Paris Fire Station. We just did some fire prevention this week at a couple of daycares that had gotten postponed from the Lewiston shooting for, it was all in October, is fire prevention month. So some of that stuff just got rescheduled and we finally got to do. We had the 603 diesel event. We didn't have any issues. We had ambulance there a couple of days. Minimal action for us, which is a good day. As you guys know and voted for, Engine 4 and Rescue 3 have officially left the premises, so those were stripped of lots of equipment. So some of that equipment was in better shape than some of the equipment on our trucks right now, so we swapped the newer, better stuff onto the trucks that we have in service and took the older stuff off. Which leads me to the list of surplus. Did you get
Yep,
it?
they have that in
Okay.
front of them, yeah.
So there's a bunch of different items that have either been sitting at North End for an unknown amount of time, and some of the stuff that we did take off the truck. Some stuff we took off Engine 4, we hope to use for a future truck, so we obviously are gonna keep some stuff, like our air packs, we don't wanna get rid of those. Hand tools, we have a lot of those, but the more digging I did and cleaning out the station and looking at North End, as you can see, we have a surplus of backboards. I mean, some of them are wooden at North End, and I never used a wooden backboard. So a lot of stuff like that we don't need. There's actually, you guys have the list. If you have questions on anything, I'm happy to answer it. A lot of this stuff has just been hanging around the station for years on end, and I think it's a good idea to make space and not just keep cluttered items.
So we proposing trying to auction or
Yeah,
sell them?
so put
or-
them on either like a municipal
Marketplace.
bid, or there's another one, that came to my attention recently, it's like international auction. That seems to get higher prices for items, so just to basically put them out on a website and start at a specific, depending on the list, we've done some research on eBay on what we would start, and some of the stuff we grouped together, so like we may group all 10 backboards, we're not gonna try to sell one backboard, we would try to make some lots of items, so hopefully we can, lot something that everybody wants with a few things that they don't want, so hopefully get them all to go together.
So what have we got over here at the station anymore? Is there anything in there?
Oh, there's plenty.
Oh, no, I didn't. I was just asking.
I mean, some of the stuff, this isn't even, this is a conservative list. There's still, like, North End, there's so many fittings for a fire truck that have just been sitting there under a workbench. We just took a bunch off Engine 4, so we have plenty of spares that are newer. Some of them wouldn't even fit, or aren't applicable anymore to our tactics these days. Like the set of extrication tools and pump, honestly, I don't even know if they were on the trucks when you were there, Mr. Hunter, but, I mean, they're old. We have a new set coming in, we have a generator set on the trucks. I mean, it's been sitting there for quite some time. They're not even serviceable, so. Like the Life Pack 10s, we're up to 15s now, the Life Pack 5, I mean, they're antiques.
So basically just looking for the board's permission if you guys are okay with the idea of selling these items. I mean, I've been leaning on municipal bid just because I'm familiar with it, but if the chief has another option to look at, that's fine as well, I suppose. And then the decision would be if the board wants to allow us to sell these items, do you want us to come back to you for final permission for the sales? Or given the potential value, these are you comfortable with authorizing?
What
us
do you
to?
suppose the value of this stuff's worth?
I mean, backboards, 10 backboards probably wouldn't go for much. I'm hoping $50. But now the stretcher, it's a striker stretcher. There are several services who've reached out to us when they see it sitting in the bay saying, how much do you want for that? And I said, well, we don't know what we're doing with it yet, but I would say like the stair chair, hundreds of dollars, the stretcher, about that. I would have to really do more research, but some of the stuff is gonna go for minimal, like the suction units, again, probably
Any one
like
piece worth,
$50.
any one piece you think go more than $1,000?
No, I don't think so.
I think we don't want to do what you do.
I'll make a motion to allow the fire chief to list the items for sale and to, I think she can decide however you want to word the motion. She can decide the prices that she takes for them.
Second.
With approval of the town manager? Or strictly the fire chief?
I don't think it needs any approval from the manager or us. I think the fire chief can make that decision. The items aren't that expensive anyway.
Just further discussion? All those in favor? Go. Town manager's report.
All right, I'll try and keep it brief. So what I have here is, every year I've tried to put together a reference book, if you will, reference material for the public for town meetings. So there's a copy here for each of the board members. I'd appreciate it if board members could maybe, flip through that over the weekend, let me know if you see anything that looks crazy. But as you can see, what this has in it is it has a copy of the budget cover sheet, has a breakdown of the capital reserve funding request, and then it has a breakdown of the town meeting warrant. So as a for instance, Article 6, the highway department funding, the warrant article is there. It says in black and white how much of an increase or decrease it is for the highway department. For instance, it's $42,000. And then I hit on the notable increases and decreases just to draw attention to what the big ticket items are within the budget. And then the budget sheets are attached as well for reference. Further back in the warrant was some of the housekeeping items, such as setting the interest rate on taxes. I've been asked that at a couple of town meetings, so I've included the copy of the state law that dictates it right in there so that you can reference, the person can reference it on their own. For the capital items, an explanation of what the capital requests are. And then finally, in the far back, you'll find a copy of just the completed town meeting warrant. So, I think it's comprehensive. I hope it's helpful. People seem to appreciate it last year and the year before, so it's nothing overly special, but I think it's a point for us. So if folks can take a look at it, what I'd like to do is starting next week, I'd like to start, making them for town meetings, so you guys are good with them, so. But that's all I had.
Selectmen items.
Yeah, it's got you want me to go over that?
Sure.
So under selectmen items, just a couple of points for June and July. Based on a conversation that I've had with individual board members, we were going to plan to cancel the June 6th selectmen's meeting and only reschedule if there's a need arises. Thursday, June 20th would remain as the normally scheduled selectmen's meeting. And then in July 4th is Thursday, which is of course a selectmen's meeting night, it's Independence Day. Curious as the board how they'd like to handle that. Would you like to move it to the 3rd, move it to the following Thursday, which is the 11th, cancel the meeting and reschedule it if needed? And then of course July 18th is the regularly scheduled one for that.
Will the manager be coming back from his camping?
In July, yes, I will be here.
Liar.
No, I have zero interest in doing it on the 3rd, so.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem doing it on the 11th, and then if we don't need the 18th,
Oh,
I guess it just hinges on what you have that needs to be done, so I think it's easier to schedule the 18th, 11th and 18th, and then if you want to cancel one, then cancel one,
okay.
or we just have both. If we need
So
to.
if there's nothing that pressing tonight, we just do it for the 18th.
Because you won't know what's pressing until that holiday week before, and people may not be around, and if you just set it depending on what we have.
Just post the just
That's
post the
just my
11th.
opinion, I think.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Unfortunately.
I mean, what's your cutoff date that you need to know whether we need a meeting on the 11th?
Preferably that Monday prior, you know. Preferably not the same day.
Well, you need to give notice, so.
Oh, okay, right. I said it was flexible.
No, the 11th of July.
Not June.
July was done.
Oh.
Take that back, will you?
That would be
Let's schedule it for the 11th, and we can always cancel it if we don't get it.
So I think Thursday, July 11th and June 20th. That would be my recommendation.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? To vote.
Thank you.
With this total budget, school budget, county budget, our budget, can you, we have all the numbers. You have all the numbers from last year, and all the numbers, if everything in here passes, what are the totals? I mean, I can do the math on what, based on the current mill rate, what we're gonna have to do, probably. Obviously, we don't know what's new business, new construction, different stuff like that, but you could get a pretty good idea on what this is gonna do on an individual tax bill.
So based on the information we have right now, the increase, including everything we've just talked about, is about $2.6 million. I'm rounding. A mill is about $780,000. So I'm rounding again.
3.5, roughly.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
2.6, could you further break that down?
Sure, yeah.
What percentage of that is ours? Or what portion of that is the town?
So a $580,000 increase is municipal operations. We have $1 million in capital for the town. We have $657,000, or excuse me, $165,000 of the increase is county. $970,000 of that increase is the school department.
What did you say the town was 580 and then?
Yep, the town's increase for operations is 581.
Yep.
And then the town's capital requests for this year are $1,010,000. And then the county assessment is up 165. And the school district is up 970.
Okay. It's a big chunk. Sure.
We still on selecting items.
Yep.
Oliver Road, did you receive a picture that a resident on Oliver Road sent on the Facebook page about damage to the side of the road up there? She said she did get a response back that the picture was received and it would be given to Jim. If you go up on the Oliver Road on the left-hand side, the ditching area is so dug down that it's compromising the edge of the road, and the resident is concerned that the next big storm is going to take that road out. The other thing I would like to ask about is the street sweeping. The street sweeping that was done a couple of weeks ago on King Street, was that done by the town?
On King Street, I don't believe the town would be doing the King Street street sweeping. 'Cause it's
So
state-
it was the same day that Mill Street was swept and Pismo Beach Road, and it was the same sweeper.
Same tractor.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that the town did that. So I'm wondering why the town is sweeping the state road and not sweeping the town road the way it should be swept. Because when you look at those roads that were swept that day that are town roads, a majority of the sand that was dropped in the winter on the roads was actually pushed to the sides of the roads, piled up there for the property owners to have to clean up. And if they're going to spend time cleaning the state road sand, then they need to stop that, let the state do their own roads, and spend more time on the town roads. Because that's a lot of sand that's dropped, and the property owner should not have to clean that sand. It should be, it's the town's responsibility. And it was very clear how that sand was all pushed to the side of the edge of the lawn of the property owners. And I have the pictures to show it all. I brought that same thing up last year, because I believe that the town crew actually swept King Street in the village last year. So I guess I'd like to know why Jim is sweeping King Street.
I'll follow up with Jim.
Okay, and
He is on vacation this week, so I
I
won't get an
know.
answer till next week.
And I have all of the cemeteries been mowed, and are they all ready for
So-
Memorial Day?
I checked in a little earlier today. They are not all completed this time. He is supposed to be finishing the rest of them tomorrow. That's what our contractor is supposed to be finishing them tomorrow. So,
Is it just him and his contractor, does he have a crew of people that work for him? Do you know that?
I thought he was going to have people, but I believe it is just him currently.
So I'm going to also file my complaint with that company, and I hope we never hire him again. He is a one-person mowing company. When I went to the cemetery yesterday morning behind the Congo Church, there was 1.5 to 2 feet of grass. I went there because my husband went the day before, had to go back home, get the weed whacker and a broom, went back to the cemetery, weed whacked around 2 sections of plots that are the families. Then he went behind the yellow meeting house, did the same thing. Because, and then so yesterday morning, I went to both cemeteries, took pictures, clearly saw that the grass was that high. And less than a week before Memorial Day, there's no excuse for that. When I got to the cemetery behind the Congregational Church, several people had already put out new flowers. So they put new flowers out in grass that was that long. I think it's important to make sure that whoever is mowing has the mowing done the week before Memorial Day, because people don't just wait until Memorial Day to go put their flowers. And last year was the first year we contracted cemetery mowing out. Prior to that, the town crew was doing it. You have more control when the town crew does it than when you hire it out. That's a fact. And actually, you get a much better job done. The other part of the mowing that he has is the ball fields. In the contract, it states the ball fields will be mowed twice a week. I can tell you right now, that's not happening. Once, if we're lucky, when we have kids, and I complained about this last year too, if anybody remembers. When you have kids playing ball in a ball field where the grass is too high, it's slippery and it's not safe for them. And in a contract, I am recommending that we never have the language again as needed, because that's the language in the cemetery contract. It's mowed as needed. In whose opinion and whose eyes is that determined? So the mower, he may think it only needs to be mowed once a month or whatever. But I do visit the cemeteries in Oxford quite frequently, and I can tell you that they need to be mowed at least once a week. And I think that it needs to be impressed upon him that the cemeteries are mowed because people expect their cemeteries to be upkept.
Isn't he the same individual who came back and wanted more money?
Exactly.
Yes.
So the bid must have been kind of wrong.
So yesterday, just as an example, my husband was there at 11 o'clock behind the Congo church to put the flowers down. He was there mowing. I stopped at 5:45 on my way home from work. He was still there. I went back out at 7:30 to see how it all looked. He was still there. So that tells me it took him a good day, which is normal. And he has a huge rider. It's one of the bigger ones I've seen. And you can't get through these older cemeteries, you know, with the mower like that. You have to use either a smaller mower where the big one doesn't fit, and the majority has to be, a weed whacker has to be used. So, impressed or not.
Didn't
Yeah.
didn't we buy a couple more? One smaller one and then one big one?
Yeah, we have mowers, yeah.
Yeah.
The
We don't
reason-
have town crew to operate them, right?
That was the reason that we originally went to contracting these out, was the difficulty in hiring part-time mowing staff.
Do you have any jail staff?
Jail staff.
Well, not staff. Well, you was a comm staff, and they're a lot,
You don't do that anymore, do you?
I don't have anybody this year,
you know.
because they're all elsewhere.
That was a good thing when we did that.
Yeah.
We did have a couple working last summer,
Yeah.
Work people.
quite a few hours
Yeah.
here in Hoxton.
I know.
It worked out nicely.
I can't do it this year, I don't have, the inmates are other places,
You know,
because we're close to the renovation.
yeah.
Oh, and I do have the name of a company for the stone restoration stuff. I will send you that information tomorrow, because there are several broken. But I think the next one that we had a committee that we were going to fix the stones was the cemetery behind Congo Church.
Yeah.
So I'll email you that tomorrow.
Thank you.
I have a question on the cemeteries, because I'm not as familiar. We have a cemetery association, correct? Committee, or, not that they're responsible for mowing, but if somebody could go out and check these cemeteries, especially this weekend, you know, he was just mowing yesterday, but it sounds like he doesn't have enough manpower to keep up with the work. So, I don't know how we're paying him, how
Contract.
frequently.
How is the contract anyway?
Monthly.
Monthly?
Yep.
So if he's not fulfilling his portion of the contract, we probably should look at ending that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have an active committee, do we, Beth? Just
We
Beth and I
don't.
that talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know where all the town cemeteries are, so.
I mean, Wendy's been kind of,
Has been, she has someone cleaning at this point, stones.
I think she's been using Heather to try and help figure out some of the,
Facilitate some of the software and update that.
Did the senior boys finish, get to start that job and finish up? I know the day they were supposed to be there, we had a nice rainstorm. so-
Yeah, they rescheduled it, and I sent you, yeah, I remember sending out the communication that they
Yeah.
rescheduled. And I haven't gotten anything since then, because I wanted to, I told them they should send something at the end to say what they've done, and so I could sign off on it, and
They
they
have,
see.
yeah, okay.
Do we have a list that we can be emailed of all the cemeteries we're responsible for?
yeah, we must have a list.
We have a list.
I don't mind going out and checking some
No, we have a
Sunday,
list and a
Monday.
map, and
But if nobody checks and or nobody complains, then we won't know.
the folks that put on the veteran flags were here, were by today, and have used all the veterans flags. All the cemeteries each have the, all 19 that they do.
I did ask Shane in Jim's absence this week, I asked Shane to be checking on these and specifically today and tomorrow to make sure that by the close of business things were squared away. So, and he's been texting me those updates. So,
It has always been, even here, that the highway crew inspects the cemeteries for broken stones, trees that are down. And when there are broken stones, they're supposed to, and I know this because I was here, they're supposed to provide that list of broken stones. And sometimes procedures just get dropped for some reason, I don't know why, but I think that it makes sense. And I think it was when they were actually mowing the cemeteries, they were in the cemeteries. And, you know, at the beginning of the season, I mean, you have a lot of damage and broken stones over the winter. They would put the list together at that point. But that's one good way to monitor it.
Well, actually, the costumes you went out, I knocked some stones over behind the meeting house, and I got with Jim about standing those stones back up, and he said he was gonna work on it, so I assume the town crew is doing some of that.
That was just recently.
That was within the past month, yeah.
That's too bad because that's the first cemetery that we did, that we had a company come in. He fixed all the broken stones and cleaned all the stones. That was probably, what, 4 years ago? Anyway.
Yeah, I think it was.
Because
I
you were
did
town
go and look,
clerks
and it
then.
looked like they wasn't damaged, they were just knocked over.
Knocked over.
So Jim was gonna get a crew to go stand them back up. When I spoke to him, it was several weeks.
Oh, welcome back, by the way.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Sign warrants.
Pile of warrants.
So, I know you got a little club, who's the head? Some turkeys?
Believe it or not, I think Dakota Harris is doing it right
Really?
now.
Huh.
Yeah.
I see that,
Yeah. I've been a little bit behind my post on that because of recent events, but I'll get it caught up.
No excuse.
I've been watching it since the one.
The yellow folder is all the other signatures for warrants.
It's right on the stickies here.
I did it, I guess.
This one, I think we're just missing one.
Have a good evening.
You too.
And then start there.
Good quality paper, huh?
That one is.
You didn't sign that one.
In Austin's.
Oops. Well, we can find that spot. If he even notices.
Oh, I already signed this.
It's just yellow. I think there's one there that, I think Floyd's signature's missing on that one.
I just started showing.
Probably didn't send it over to you. He's been kind of reading it back quick. Cutting me off a little short.
You guys exciting for our first town meeting in here?
What the heck is
It's gonna
the,
be great.
Once we get the ACO.
Hmm.
We're, Sharon said, so you
There's
guys
always
said
that.
you're on meet line, so you
Sign
know.
over my
$1 million
name.
in capital projects with total 3%. Whatever million.
Very good.
Turn on?
Okay.
Sign in your spot, I'll be on the last page. I signed next to your name. Because my hand was over the names and I didn't see that they were specific, I just thought they were blank lines.
That's all the directions, you know.
There was no directions. Some of them got the pretty names and some of them don't.
We always do the best that we can.
Is the transfer station wall done yet?
Yes. Yep. Gonna actually try and swing down there with Ed tomorrow and take a look see. So they did have to do a small change order. It was like $1,100, $1,500, excuse me, change order because they needed to make it just a tweak bigger in order to fit. So they labeled it as a not a flaw, an oversight in the engineering. I thought that was acceptable. So
I'll go down and stick it
yep.
tomorrow. Yeah?
Ed's already got ideas of murals and things.
You know, honest to God, I thought of that when I came around that corner.
Well, don't encourage him.
No, I thought, oh, no, everyone's gonna be out there selling us fake ads. And don't tell me you wouldn't agree with that, because you would.
What's it, putting ads up there?
Yeah, if they paid, yeah.
No pressure, Floyd. We're all looking at you.
What do you mean, one copy? This one too?
Yep.
Geez, how much more we got here? I'm running out of ink.
Well, that's okay, she'll get you a new pen.
Pretty big.
Thank you.
Motion on warrants.
Motion we sign 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 100.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion, all those in favor? Vote.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All those in favor? Vote.
Thank you, everybody.
Doing business.
Thank you.
Shopping.
You going shopping?
Have a nice weekend, you put on weekend.
Really? That's right.
I'm gonna do a wall report tomorrow. And pick it up tomorrow.
Give us a bill, Danny, in the minutes.
Yeah, sometimes I do. I'm doing that tonight.
This way,
She's on some baking, she needs to watch.
I think
Cup of bacon.
Go ahead.
We got to list them off.
When we authorize this, sell items, I said we should have a list of the items.
That's
Screw it
what
up.
I do too. It's everything on my mind is like.
However you want to.
Yeah.
In the record.
Just
Sure.
She's doing that
Rather when
tonight.
you come back.
Next year. She said you're gonna get me a flour, sugar,
Because I wouldn't have figured out.
anything, honey, just be happy.
Come back, ask them for some of those things.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
Of the year.
Usually.
Oh, small towns can do anything without moving away now.
Wait till they pass the new OSHA regulation.
No thanks. See you, Ben.
Good.
Have a good evening.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Nothing go in Hebron. It went?
Fine, our treasurer just resigned. Yeah, you too. She gave plenty of notice, but, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we're doing the same thing here, you know,
Yep.
the increase in the budget and the mill and